In this episode, we want to show you how snapshot backups work with the HP 3-par disk array, as well as returning those snapshots to the original state. Creating snapshots and using them for backup is called zero downtime backup inside Data Protector. So in terms of preparation to make that work, you need to have certain agents installed on the machines that you want to do those kind of backups for. We have agents available for certain HP disk arrays and also for others, depending on the integration type that you're using. If the command language SMIS is to be used for creating those snapshots, you need those dedicated agents running. Otherwise, you can depend on the Microsoft Volume Shadow Copy integration. That is actually using the VSS framework and also the VSS driver elements that comes from individual hardware vendors. So in our configuration here, we're backing up data coming from the server called IMHyper1 and using the backup server IMHyper2 to actually move the data. And we're creating so-called transportable backups to make that work. So we're moving over to the backup specification portion. And in this example, I want to do a backup of a virtual machine, a Hyper-V virtual machine in this case. And this Hyper-V virtual machine is sitting on the 3-par logical unit number that is presented by Fiber Channel to that particular host. So what we do is we start that backup job with a certain backup type. So we right-click and create new backup specification. But as a backup type, we're chasing here down to VSS transportable backup. And this is actually the method where the snapshot is taken, but the snapshot is presented to a dedicated backup server that's actually doing the backup. So backup IO is not flowing through the application or file server. So what we have to check for first is the virtual machine that we want to look for. So we're choosing the backup client and the backup host that is actually creating the specification for us. And we want to do a Hyper-V image backup down here. So the next is, since we have defined the application system or the system where the data is originated from, we can choose down here which of our machines is the backup server. So in this case, like I've said before, it's IMHyper2 because that is the machine that has also fiber channel connectivity to the 3-par disk array. We want to keep the replica after the backup, so it is not just created and removed after the backup. We want to keep it for instant recovery purposes. So this is why I checked down here, keep replica after backup and using the standard snapshot mechanism to store that. If you click on settings on the right hand side, you can influence the number of replicas that are rotated. That can be any kind of number more or less that you want to do or the disk array can deal with. And this is the current setup that we want to use. I'm just picking one of the virtual machines that is down here. On the next page, we're checking for the backup device that we want to back up to. So that should be a backup device that is local to the backup server, of course, because we don't want to send the data over the network. And we can set it up now for a certain protection time, let's say 1 week, and some more statistical info since we want to see megabytes per second and other statistical info. You might want to do schedules, of course, but in this demo we don't need that right now. So we save that backup job as whatever kind of name is appropriate for you. And we start that backup job. When we start the job, you have certain options that you can choose from. At the end of the day, what we want to do is we want to do a backup to tape. At this point in time, you see that it actually found that volume, and this volume is managed by a certain hardware provider. In our example, it is the 3-par VSS hardware provider 2.2. So at this point in time, the snapshots have been created. Some metadata has been backed up, which is not very large. That is usually only in a very few megabytes that is moved, and it's now more or less turning to the virtual machine being backed up. You see that up here in the running state. So this is actually the end of that particular session, and you get the usual session statistics down at the very bottom, and it actually shows you what kind of information has been backed up. So the most interesting information is in the middle. We're getting our target site deduplication statistics because we have been using a StoreOne's software store as a backup target. We moved 7.5 gigabytes, and since that backup has been done for quite a while, and there haven't been that much changes, we only wrote 13 megabytes to disk, and this is giving a huge deduplication ratio. Like I was saying, it is a fiber channel backup, and it is by a dedicated snapshot. So all of that has two advantages. Advantage number one is the application system that is backed up is under the least load that you can ever imagine. So all the backup I/O is redirected through another server. Secondly, since we have been using fiber channel and direct attached devices, data was not traveling over the network, and it traveled at a very good speed. So this is actually the benefit of zero downtime backup, and also especially for 3PAR, because the 3PAR disk array gives us a lot of spindles and a lot of controller cache performance. So that all helps us in getting those kind of brilliant results.